You are listening to an Audio Box original story. Please like and subscribe, and I will create more stories for your listening pleasure.
The Bathhouse Chapter 12 Whispers of the Cabin. The interior of the cabin was draped in the amber glow of a dying fire, but the warmth couldn't reach the chill settling in Glea's bones. She sat at her mother's desk, its once polished surface worn soft by time and memory. The blue lacquered box rested open before her, its finish still gleaming faintly in the firelight, a relic untouched by decay, like it had been waiting for this moment to whisper the secrets of a tragic past. Her fingers hovered for a moment before brushing the cassette tape. The bleed didn't flicker. It detonated. The world tore itself apart. Glea was no longer in the cabin, no longer in her body. She was something weightless, unseen. A ghost stitched into someone else's past. She was a ghost in a memory, standing in a rain-slicked alleyway in Tokyo, 20 years in the past. Rain lashed against a narrow Tokyo alley, slicking the pavement into mirrors of fractured neon. The air smelled of rot, gasoline, and wet concrete. Somewhere far off, a siren wailed, but it felt distant and irrelevant. She saw him, her father, younger, but already unraveling. His hair was darker, his face less lined, but his eyes were hollowed out, carved thin by fear and sleepless nights. He knelt in the rain, shoulders hunched, hands trembling despite his effort to steady them. Before him stood a man in a charcoal suit so sharply cut it looked like armor, immaculate, and seemed to be untouched by the rain. Power radiated off him, not loud, not boastful, but absolute. He was definitely a high-ranking boss of the underworld. Her father was shaking, his voice cracking under the stress of the situation. He wasn't explaining. He wasn't negotiating. He was begging and pleading for more time. "I can give you something better than currency," he said, his voice cracking, barely holding himself together. "Something beyond value." He paused. The silence echoed in his head as rain hammered harder. "I can give you a shadow, a weapon that never misses, a man who cannot feel pain." The men around the suited figure exchanged glances, and then the laughter came. A low hum rung in Glea's head. She felt a chill, and the colors of the vision was fading. The world twisted, and the alley slowly bled away. Another vision emerged. Her mother stood by the fireplace, wrapped in firelight. She was striking in a way that had nothing to do with perfection, dark hair falling loosely over her shoulders, eyes sharp with intelligence and something fiercer beneath it. Defiance lived in her posture, in the lift of her chin, in the way her hands remained steady at her sides. 3 men in dark tailored suits stood across from her. They didn't look like soldiers. They looked like creditors. One held a ledger, the other held a silenced pistol. "Your husband's genius has a high interest rate," the lead man said. "He promised us a god. He gave us delays instead." The vision blurred with a sickening hum. Glea tried to scream as she watched the lead man raise the weapon. Her mother didn't beg. She simply looked at a photo of Glea on the mantel and closed her eyes. 2 muffled thuds echoed through the cabin. Her mother collapsed into the woodpile, her blood staining the gray cedar floor. The scene shifted violently. Glea saw her father arriving at the cabin an hour too late. He didn't weep. Instead, something in him simply snapped, the light in his eyes replaced by a cold, calculating vacuum. He didn't go to the police. He went to the lab. She saw the early flickering lights of Factory 9. Her father stood over a surgical table where a young, restrained Subject 012 lay. The boy was screaming, but her father's hands were steady as he injected the first concentrated dose of the savage serum directly into the boy's spinal column. "They took the only thing that kept me human," her father whispered into the boy's ear, his voice devoid of any warmth. "Now, you will take everything they have." Glea watched a montage of nightmares. Subject 012 moving like a blur of shadow and steel through a high-end Tokyo club, leaving a trail of bodies that belonged to the gang that had come to the cabin. Her father stood in the doorway of the slaughter, watching his creation work. He wasn't just paying a debt anymore, he was liquidating the competition. He used the gang's own underworld infrastructure to build Ash, turning a scientific mistake into a private mercenary empire fueled by vengeance. Glea's eyes snapped open. She was back in the present, her breath coming in jagged, shallow gasps. She looked down at the floorboards near the fireplace. The wood was replaced, but she could finally see the ghost of the stain beneath the finish. Rayon was standing by the window, his silhouette dark against the moonlight. He turned, sensing the shift in her energy. "Glea, you're shaking. What did you see?" Glea looked at him, her heart breaking. She looked at the man who had been her asset, the man she was beginning to love, and realized he was just the latest model in a long line of payments. "My father is a monster, Rayon," she said, her voice sounding like it was coming from a great distance. "He didn't build this for the government. He built it because he was a gambler who couldn't pay his debts, and my mother's life was taken as a result of his addiction." She stood up, the map of Factory 9 crinkling in her grip. He didn't just create a soldier, he created a mercenary empire. Kane isn't a rogue agent. Kane is the successor to the criminal throne my father built on our mother's grave. Rayon walked over, his emerald eyes burning with a calm, dangerous clarity. He didn't look shocked. He looked like a man who finally understood why the world felt so broken. "Then Subject 012 isn't just a rogue experiment," Rayon said softly. "He's the one who did the killing. He's the one who knows exactly where the bodies are buried." Glea nodded, her bleed vision focusing on the source circled on the map. It wasn't a lab. It was the vault where her father kept the records of every life he had traded for his own. "We aren't going there to save him anymore," Glea said, her voice hardening into a blade. "We're going there to burn it all down. For her."
Thank you for returning. Please like and subscribe, and more chapters will be on the way. I write original stories and create an audio version for your listening pleasure. These stories are a work in progress, so subscribe and comment, and it will inspire me to keep the chapters coming. Thanks again for stopping by.